So again, wonderful opportunities with the Project Lead the Way professional development, wonderful support with the master teachers that you're going to be engaging with, not only at that face-to-face core training, but those master teachers are there for you for the rest of that year to engage with, ask questions. Also through our learning management system, there are professional learning communities that these teachers get involved with and can connect across the United States with issues that they might be having, being able to give feedback and troubleshoot and work together, as well as really the relations that those teachers that go to core training get out of that. It can be phenomenal. A lot of these teachers are sometimes going together at the same trainings year after year to have that camaraderie, to get that professional peer-to-peer collaboration. So some really fantastic opportunities with Project Lead the Way's professional development. And so just transitioning quickly into sort of what Project Lead the Way offers. We've heard it. It's the curriculum. We have assessment components, the teacher training, the ongoing program support that's happened, and you really do become part of this larger community of K-12 schools, colleges, and universities that partner with us. Also, our business and industry partners that are critical in the component we're giving greater student opportunities, whether it's internships, scholarships, or the needs of the school with equipment, supplies, or just having that support, knowing that those individuals know what kind of students are going to be coming out of that classroom. They understand that skill set. They understand that they want those individuals with those employability skills, and they know Project Lead the Way kids have those. So really at the center of everything that we do is the student. We have that ecosystem of teachers, we have the administrators, the counselors, the parents, the higher ed and business and industry leaders, and really it's just trying to give our students the greatest opportunities and experiences as possible.
So we want to jump into a few of our partnerships and explain those, but I think it would be really helpful to explain.
Questions? When do you want to take questions?
Thinking at the end, possibly? Is that right? Okay.
I mentioned a little bit our new flexibility, so I kind of wanted to give you a little background on that. So in the past, schools actually signed an agreement with us, and they had program requirements for implementation. And as I mentioned, we found that we were really putting up some barriers for schools and how they could implement Project Lead the Way. So we've just announced a few months ago a very flexible opportunity to deliver our program. So really the criteria is that you're using the most current content that we have. So we want schools to use most current courses, and that you offer at least one unit, module, or course. So depending on the program, as long as you're doing those two things, that's what we're looking for. Also that you have a trained teacher, that they've been trained, so multiple ways to do that training. But Kim just walked through that piece. So I wanted you to know about the flexibility. The other announcement that we've had in the last few months is around program certification. So we used to have this sort of list of things that we required of schools, that they had a partnership team, that they sent counselors to training, that sort of a checklist that we would walk in and just see if schools were doing those minimal things. And we were looking at how do we move our system from a system of compliance where we had to go in and check those things off to really a system that really recognized and celebrated results. And so we have a new national recognition process that will phase in over the next year. It's really around student engagement, it's around student access, and then for the high school students, it's around student performance. So we're very excited about that. We'll be able to pull that data. Schools will self-report some of those pieces for us, but each fall we'll have a list of schools that we recognize. And so the exciting thing for us is that we'll be able to celebrate those accomplishments, and we'll be able to recognize schools. We'll also recognize districts for certain thresholds. So we now have many districts across the country who are doing K through 12. It's so exciting. So many students have access, so we'll be able to have a district recognition piece, not just a program recognition that we've had in the past. So we're excited about that. Then we also sort of have a special category, and it'll be distinguished schools. But it could be that your school is, serving at least 50% female students in an engineering program, or There's no set criteria for those distinguished schools, but we know that'll be a category where we can really recognize exemplary work and talk about that to others as a best practice. So we're excited about that transition. It will be over the next year. The criteria is on our website. I think the thing that we're most excited about is that we get to recognize a lot more schools. So for those of you that have been around for a while, we used to have a model schools program that would identify maybe 10 schools nationally on a yearly basis, and we know that there's hundreds of schools doing amazing work, and we want to share that with our network. So we're very excited about the new recognition process. So the other pieces that we always like to talk about too are college readiness. We want to kind of delve into our AP Project Lead the Way partnership and collaboration. We have a new tool for any school called STEM Premier, and then just this whole idea of career opportunities. So do you want me to launch in?
Sure.
Or you want to take one? Okay. So let's talk about AP Project Lead the Way first. So that's a new recognition for students. So not only now are we going to be able to recognize schools and districts that are doing a great job, we're going to have special recognition for our students. So this partnership has been in development for several years. College Board loved the work that we were doing around project problem-based learning and how students were really engaged in the classroom. We love the work that they're doing around, advanced content in math and science. So if you were able to attend our national summit, David Coleman, the CEO from College Board, and our CEO shared the stage, and I think their philosophy and what they're trying to do to really disrupt education is very exciting, and I think through our partnership we'll really be able to prepare students at an incredible level. So really we've identified initially courses in all three of the high school pathways. So engineering, computer science, bioscience. We've identified our Project Lead the Way courses, and then College Board has identified those courses that they feel are really important in math and science for each of those. Now, I'd say that's just our first blush because I think there are other courses that probably will be added to the list. But the thing I love about this, having worked with Project Lead the Way schools for many years, often when we start a Project Lead the Way program, some of the first resistance that we see are from advanced math and science teachers, and they talk about how students then won't take their advanced math and science because of these other options, and we honestly see just the opposite. So we always see as we go into schools that the enrollment in advanced math and science increase because students are really starting to use the content and understand why they need those advanced courses. So to get the recognition, a student will need to complete 3 of these courses, and they'll need to score at a certain level on the end of course exam in those 3. But it can be 2 Project Lead the Way and 1 AP course in math or science, or it can be 2 AP courses and 1 Project Lead the Way. So that we are actually sharing databases with College Board. So in the summer, after our assessments are given, we'll be able to mesh that data, pull the students that have scored at the certain level, and offer the recognition in late summer. So we're very excited about that partnership for student recognition piece. I think the other thing we're really excited about is just the network of universities that are already a part and a partner with College Board. So it's really the recognition of this work. So we're starting to see, and for a long time, school districts have been given weighted credit or honors credit for the Project Lead the Way courses. We see students take their original work to universities and they're awarded credit based on a notebook or based on their engineering notebooks, or universities now are recognizing our end of course for credit. So I think it's just the idea that these students are taking a really rigorous sequence of courses, and the opportunities through this recognition piece for our students I think is going to be very exciting. The other conversations we're having with College Board are with our stakeholder partners. So not only the university conversation, but the corporate conversation. So I know corporations are looking at how they develop internships and that they need those internships much sooner than the college level. And so identifying some of these students that have taken this rigorous high school sequence and scored at certain levels are being targeted for some of those internships. So it's just very exciting. I would say that the partnership is very early in its development, and more to come, but extremely exciting. I know that they'll post the summit sessions, but if you have an opportunity to listen to the session with David Coleman, the CEO from College Board, and Dr. Bertram, our CEO, I think their passion and their vision is very exciting for all of education. So excited about that partnership.
And along the same lines that Robin was talking about with identifying students who have taken this great work and really connecting them with business and industry, we have a new tool and a new partner with STEM Premier. And check that out. And with the STEM Premier possibilities, they are gathering together individuals that are subscribing to the program from the business and industry world, as well as from schools, students. And I heard someone sort of reference it as the cooler LinkedIn for young people. So it's a way for those students to showcase what they've done. It shows the Project Lead the Way courses that they've been in, the projects and things that they've been part of, so that the industry and business that are a part of STEM Premier can go in, look at these students and see what they've done, and even do some targeted recruiting on internships and other possibilities. So it's growing number of students that are out there. I'm not sure the number right now of students that are involved, but it's high, especially for the fact that we've just started. And we have some major business and industry players that are looking at coming on. We have several there now, but we're more and more are looking at the possibilities and seeing what impact this sort of collaboration could have.
Yeah, I think the fun thing for students, so universities are using this site as well. They can ask in a region how many students have taken computer integrated manufacturing, for example. And so those students are actually badging within the system. So if you take our SIM course, you score at a certain level, you get to badge on your profile. And so if I am a Toyota, I can go in and look regionally how many students have taken SIM, how many were successful in that course, and I can recruit those students directly through the system. So it's really an incredible linkage for our students that we've never had before. But I'd like to talk about a couple of career opportunities that are just incredible, but what I really encourage is that you guys look at these as examples for your work at the local level. So I'll talk about Toyota and Lockheed Martin. Those are two of our national partners, but Lockheed Martin is in our region. So Fort Worth, a huge need for engineers. Those engineers have to be American citizens, and they are just trying to be very innovative in how they recruit young folks. So they decided that they really needed to go to the high school level. So they already have a big college, internship recruitment project, but they really wanted to hook students in the Fort Worth, Dallas region at a much earlier age. So they offered high school internships. They were very selective and they set the criteria around those internships. So students had to have 4 Project Lead the Way courses. They had to be in a capstone course. They had to have had the right math and science, and they had to have a vision of going to engineering school. So a lot of students applied. They only picked a very small number the first year, but those students were given actual job descriptions for a year-long internship. So one of the students I visited with was working in the control tower, and he was working on a device that would hold something for those folks in the control tower. I don't even remember. He was re-engineering a piece of the control tower. But that was his challenge for the year, and he presented at the end of that. All of these students actually had a presentation to a lot of folks. But the cool thing is what Lockheed Martin built around that internship. So for those students who completed that internship, they were handed a $1,000 check if they were enrolled and accepted into an engineering school. So they had to be accepted at a college university level. They were given a check for $1,000. They had guaranteed summer internships the next 4 years. They got $1,000 each year to use how they needed to while they were going to college, and they have a guaranteed job with Lockheed Martin at the end. So that was an incredible list. They have to maintain a certain GPA, they have to stay in College of Engineering, but as soon as that degree is completed, then they have a position offer at Lockheed Martin. So that's pretty intense for high school students. They loved the results, so again, they started very small with under 10 students just to see how it would work. They had to work it through their HR department. They had a lot of different divisions involved in this piece, but the second year they increased it to about 15 students, and this year I think they've opened it up to other districts. So they started just with the Arlington School District. This year they've opened it up to multiple districts in the Fort Worth area, but they really see it as a pipeline and a way to help students complete those engineering degrees and then get them back in their facility. So a very exciting story. The Toyota story is a little bit different in that Toyota was searching for, they have their own training program for advanced manufacturing. They had an abysmal training rate. So they would open up all these job opportunities. Folks would come in and apply off the street. They were lucky to keep a third of that cohort as they worked them through the training process and onto the advanced manufacturing floor. So they looked internationally for the best high school experience they could find, and they came to Project Lead the Way, and they said, we love your curriculum, we want to recruit Project Lead the Way students, and we think we can put an advanced manufacturing program together. So again, they built the criteria around what courses high school students had to take. They had to be in the top third in their class in math, and they had one other criteria. It might have been a literacy piece. But anyway, targeted this first cohort of students. They recruited them, 100% made it through the training program and into their advanced manufacturing piece. So the great thing about the Toyota model is that they have a 2-year training program. Students are hired, work for Toyota 3 days a week. They go to school 2 days a week. They complete an associate's degree and never leave the Toyota facility, which is pretty awesome. And then they've totally aligned that to a BS in engineering at the University of Kentucky. So students can go on that want to go on, but they really have identified an advanced technician pathway. So there's like 3 pathways for students. But it was so successful that they came to us and said, we want this in every North American facility in the next 3 years. And they've since come back and said 18 months. So they're building this in all of their facilities. So I know we are working with 2 different locations in our region. But in an incredible way, they're targeting Project Lead the Way students, they're recruiting them, and those students are having tremendous success with their training programs. So just a couple of examples, but what I would encourage is that you, as you work with local employers, helping them understand the benefits of our Project Lead the Way courses and the skill sets that students have. We have resumes now for every course, so you can literally pull a resume and the skill sets that students will bring to that institution if they have taken those courses. So trying to provide those resources.
Well, that is the end of our actual session. We would like to open it up for any questions here and out there.
Well, I will start with, we have 2 questions from Norfolk. They would like to know a bit more about the Gateway program. For example, what is recommended scheduling or time commitment for each?
For each. Well, the Gateway program, like as Robin talked about, the flexibility in the model that had been opened up, it really, as far as you said, scheduling and the time frame. Okay, so we would encourage. Robin mentioned that design and modeling has been altered this year to really incorporate all 3 pathways, so the computer science, biomedical, and engineering pathways. So I think design and modeling is a wonderful foundation course for the middle school grades, whether that be your 6th, 7th, or 8th graders. And then the other courses, I would say that this is where you want to really maybe tune in with your partnership teams, your Project Lead the Way school partnerships teams, to see the business and industry that are around you. Maybe they have some favorites that they would like those young people to take part in, and that provides you an opportunity to work with them on what kind of opportunities they could provide, what kind of support they could provide to your school based on those components. And I think also you need to look at what your high school has, if they have the Project Lead the Way, and what sort of pathway, because you want to maybe fill that sort of pipeline with good precursors into those 3 pathways. So it really is open to what the demand is at the school. There's also a possibility that as you train your teachers, that you alternate offerings based on demand from the student. So that's something where you could train in multiple areas, whether it be the foundation or the specialties, and then be able to juggle those around in offerings every year and supply that. As far as the timeline, again, these were developed for 9-week, 45-minute courses. But I had an example of one school that did that the first year with the 9 weeks, 45 minutes. And she went back to her superintendent, the teacher did, and asked if they could alter their schedule to make it be a full-on semester course. And what she did with that is that she incorporated some of the good stuff that she had already been doing in her actual curriculum, and pulled in and bolstered the opportunities, bolstered the activities, gave them longer for some of the projects and design, and really could invest some additional resources to it. That's been very popular. So again, it's kind of open. It is. I would suggest that you don't go lower than the 9 weeks, because you're going to end up having to cut things, and everything in there has been designed to be a complete package, and you really want to stay consistent with the curriculum that's out there.
Thank you. This question is regarding biomedical systems. We have noted a lot of overlap between human body systems and anatomy and physiology. I wonder if you know of any schools that might have replaced A&P with human body systems. If so, can we be confident that colleges will accept human body systems as an anatomy course?
Yeah. You want me to take that one?
Yes, please.
So human body systems wasn't designed to replace A&P. We see it offered in conjunction with A&P in a lot of different schools. So if a university is specifically looking for A&P, then you probably want to make sure that's on the transcript. But what we're finding through the sequence of courses, principles of bioscience, human body systems, MI, BI, we're seeing these students accomplish some amazing things that are really high acceptance rates into very competitive programs. So what I think the piece that this brings to the table are definitely the research, the original work, the working in teams. So they're using a lot of the content, where A&P often is a memorization course, being an old biology major. The human body systems, you really understand, so you're building an entire mannequin, you really understand how those systems work together, and a much better understanding of how to utilize it, I would say, in the system. So tremendous accomplishments for these students who complete the sequence. Their understanding of science is incredible. They're applying the great content from your advanced. So the students that could take biology, chemistry, physics, A&P plus the 4 would be, those students are amazing. They're ready to go on into anything. So a lot of acceptance in the early BSMD programs. We're seeing a lot go into the research piece. In the state where I'm from, Oklahoma, we've been doing BMS for a long time. We were one of the investment states, but what I'm seeing is those students are accepted into like the Fleming's research summer programs as high school students, and typically that's a college. They accept about 12 students a year, and it used to be mostly all college students, and last year we had 3 BMS students from very rural sites that were accepted into that program, and I really attribute it to the original work they were able to do in the BMS sequence. So great question though.
But just a couple other sort of components that we do have some universities that have taken where it's a sort of they do, if you do a sequence of the courses, 2 or 3 of the courses, that then channel and replace a course in their particular program at their university. I've also known curriculum specialists in districts that have went in and did a walkthrough of the human body systems, and where they've seen some standards or whatnot that are lacking in ours that is necessary for a particular course. They're implementing some of those pieces to bolster what's there, to then rectify the missing pieces. So I think there are ways as well to make those other pieces happen. But, yeah, great question.
Yeah, some of the progressive universities that are really embracing Project Lead the Way in large numbers of students, Missouri S&T is one. So they recognize the BMS courses, they recognize all 4 of those courses, and what they've done is they've given them unique course numbers so they count as biology electives. So if I'm a biology major, I may have 9 courses or 15 hours, 9 hours or 15 that I could take, totally whatever biology elective I wanted, so those courses count within that elective. So they're transcripting a lot of credit across the country right now with those as biology electives.
Thank you. We have a question from Omaha. What advantage other than recognition does the AP certification give the students?
So the question, I don't know if they're hearing your actual question, so we might want to repeat it.
I think so.
Think so? Okay, great.
Okay, so repeat that one more time.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I forgot.
What advantage other than recognition does the AP certification give the student?
Okay, great question. So the advantage is just encouraging more students, I think, into that AP college track. So the state where I started with Project Lead the Way in Oklahoma, we identified our pathways a long time ago, and we totally identified the advanced math and science that we felt like were critical to engineering and bioscience and now computer science. So for a school to get that funding, they have to do both. But I think for students to have command of the content is really critical. So taking the advanced math and science courses just give them that command of content that they use to be problem solvers in the engineering or bioscience or the computer science courses. So we see a beautiful, so the advantage to students is that they really have the content under their belt to do the advanced math and science. And I know there's a lot of teachers in the room, they may even have a different perspective on that question, but anybody else comment on that?
I think especially like in the CEA class, there's a lot of tie-in with some advanced math. We're getting some of those beam calculations and so on. So that's always been a direct correlation from advanced math into that class for sure.
Absolutely. Sort of that age-old, when am I ever going to use this? They utilize that content. And so, as I mentioned, just the sort of the fear that students would choose one or the other, we see the exact opposite. They really understand why they need the advanced math and science content to do the work in the courses. Great question.
Okay, I don't have any more questions, so if anybody has questions in the room or outstate, if anybody has questions, please type them into Tony. Actually, you could email it to me as well, since I have my email open. That's thoward1@unl.edu if you have any questions. Anybody in the room have questions?
Okay.
Okay, well, and we'll be happy to address any questions that do come in later. We'll be happy to get an answer back out if they start coming in now. We'll be happy. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Okay, we are waiting, on the agenda, we are going to start our panel about 11:20, but we are waiting on about 3 panel members right now. Maybe, is there anything else you
Bio break or
want to talk about, or we can take a little break?
take a little break?